Peace and blessing, love and light. And welcome to the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. Join us as we navigate in new spaces using our mental, physical, and spiritual toolboxes to create our peaceful existence. Sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired to transition and be transformed. I am your host, Kim Martin Raymond. Let's dive into the How Now. And blessings, love, and light, and welcome to this live edition of the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. I am your host, Kim Martin Raymond, and I'm a minister, spiritual life coach, holistic nutritionist, author, and founder of Redefining You LLC, where I help my clients to realign themselves, mind, body, and spirit. And welcome to tonight's live show of the How Now podcast. We are in season 6, and this is the year of execution. Last year in 2025, we did a 365-day challenge where I challenged my listeners to create healthy habits, mind, body, and spirit, so that way they can place them in their mental, spiritual, and physical toolboxes, and then they can begin to create better versions of themselves as a result. Okay, and so this year, again, in season 6, this is a year of execution. We're manifesting those things, those healthy habits that we created last year, and seeing how they're going to help us to move that marker one step closer to being a better version of ourselves. So welcome to the show. If you are new here, please go to my new website, KimMartinRaymond.com. I'm so excited about that. That's something that I manifested this year as well, KimMartinRaymond.com. That way you can go in, check out all of my products and services, set up a chat to be able to come and work with me if you're doing things according into your wellness journey. Take a moment to look around and see the products and services that I have available. Again, that is KimMartinRaymond.com. You'll also see scrolling across the bottom of the screen my YouTube channel. Make sure that you like, follow, share, and subscribe there. And check out some of my playlists like Tuesday and Spirit Body Transformation, where I'm talking about different aspects of my wellness journey. Okay, so before we dive in, I want to talk about 4 segments that we've been focusing in on in 2026. One of them is Living Your Purpose with Jason Gerardo, and he talks about taking those walls that may be holding us back and keeping us from living our purpose and creating a bridge. And that's an acronym that he has. And he talks about different ways in which we can live our purpose and also how we can cope. And that's my acronym for Create Our Peaceful Existence. So he talks about that in one of the segments that we have monthly here on the How Now podcast. Then I also have a financial fitness segment, and that is with Leah Garcia. And she is the dynasty creator. And she talks about financial fitness, and she teaches us how to develop generational wealth that's going to not only benefit ourselves, but those who are coming behind us. Okay, and then I have a third segment where I talk about the 12 spiritual principles, and that's with Dr. Reginald Howard. And he takes a different spiritual principle each month, and then he has a spiritual luminary that embodies that spiritual principle. And that is things that we can put into our spiritual toolbox that are going to help us along our spiritual wellness journey. And then finally, we have Spirit Body Transformation. And that's where I talk about physical fitness, and I talk about nutrition and mindset. And I talk about it from my personal journey. I also have guests that come in and talk about that as well. So those are the 4 segments that we've been focusing in on this year on the How Now podcast. And tonight, we're going to be talking about Spirit Body Transformation and the reality of reaching your weight loss milestones. Okay? Now, I hit a major wellness milestone about 4 years ago. I started on Labor Day because I thought that it was going to be a labor of love for me. There were some things that I needed to release. There were some things that I needed to birth out of my wellness journey. So I started it 4 years ago with the physical aspect. And since then, I have lost 64 pounds and have managed to stay within that range. No less than 50 of those 64 pounds have I gained back. And there were some things that I needed to be aware of when I reached a certain milestone. And what I did was make sure that as we're going through this journey, I wanted to share 5 of those things that we need to be aware of when we're talking about reaching our milestones. Those milestones may just be markers. It doesn't mean that that's going to be the final place that we stop, because the one thing that we have to understand when we're talking about our weight loss and wellness journey is that it's not a destination, it's a lifestyle. And it's going to be something that's going to be ever changing. It's going to be something that's ever evolving. And so we have to begin to start looking at some things or being aware of some things that are happening as we're reaching certain milestones. So I'm going to be sharing 5 of those things with you tonight as we go through our show. It's the first thing that we need to be aware of when we're talking about hitting milestones is that we are going to have to possibly liquidate our entire wardrobe. Now, I'm a trainer and I have a lot of clothes. I stand in front of a lot of people and have had to, talk to people anywhere from 2 to 6 hours at a time. And so, it's important that my clothing represent, the person that I am and the things that I'm going to be talking about. And so that was something that I considered in a way, but really didn't consider, because I didn't realize that as I was getting rid of clothes that no longer fit, you know, that was happening at a faster rate than the clothes that were coming in. I didn't I didn't think about the cost of having to replace my entire wardrobe, because things that I had in my wardrobe were sometimes 3 sizes too big. And as I was starting to lose weight, I didn't get rid of those things immediately. I held on to them because, somewhere in my mind, and I know now that it was self-sabotage, that that was causing me to just think, oh, I may go back there. So I don't want to get rid of those clothes because then I won't have anything to wear, or my clothes will be too tight. And so I need to make sure that I keep those safety items in my closet and not get rid of them. But I didn't realize that in doing that, I was sabotaging myself. I needed to get rid of those clothes, but then I also had to make sure that I had the finances to begin to replenish my wardrobe. Okay. And so as I was doing it, I had to make sure that I was getting essential pieces that I could mix and match. So that way, when I started feeling like I was running out of clothes, I had ways in which to recycle the clothes that I had to purchase as a result of my weight loss. So that was one consideration that I had to make, that I was going to have to do a total wardrobe liquidation. Okay. And, the one thing that you also have to realize is that, you know, not only is it your wardrobe that you have to replace and that you have to liquidate, it could also be your shoes. Okay. You lose weight everywhere. Okay. And sometimes we focus so much on losing the weight in our midsection that we don't consider that we lose weight in other areas of our bodies as well, our feet included. So that favorite pair of shoes that you had that you thought that you were going to be able to still fit, surprise, they are no longer fitting. You may find them slipping off of your feet. And if you find that happening, you know, now you've got to go in and you've got to replace your shoes. And I'll tell you, I got a lot of shoes. So it was hard to depart with some of those beautiful shoes that I had, but I realized that my foot was wider. As I lost weight, it became narrow, and I had to replace my shoes. So again, when you're talking about that wardrobe liquidation, not only is it the clothes that you're replacing, it may be your shoes as well. Okay. Then you're talking about your accessories. I had to resize my rings because my fingers had gotten smaller, and I didn't consider that. So we have to consider the fact that we're losing weight over our entire body, and it may cause us again to have to liquidate our wardrobe, which includes not just our clothes, but our shoes and some of our accessories. They would actually take us full matches in order for it to fit properly. So those are things that we have to consider when we're thinking about reaching a certain weight milestone. We don't think that those are things that are going to matter, but they do, not just physically, but economically when we have to go about replacing them. So as you're going through your wellness journey, if you're just starting or if you're getting close to one of those milestones that you've created, make sure that you are looking in your closet and that you're beginning to really assess the things that you have in there, start removing some of those things, but also start bringing in those essential mix and match items that are going to help you as you're rebuilding your wardrobe. Okay, so that's number one. Along with that is that you may have to, your style may change. That's number two. Your style may change as you're going through your wellness milestone. And what that means is that the clothes that used to be those safe pieces that you use, those little jackets or those sweaters or those things that those pants that had that elastic waistband may no longer serve you. So what happens is your style changes. And as your style is changing, you may find that those safe pieces, those colors, all of those things that once flattered the body that you were in are no longer flattering your body. They are no longer representing your personality. Okay, because as your body changes, sometimes your confidence level changes, and the clothes that you used to hide behind, you no longer desire to wear those clothes. And so as your style and your personality is changing, you may want to start experimenting with different colors and patterns and cuts, those things and trends that at one time you may have never considered. Okay, so it's not just a matter of what size am I going to wear. Now you have to choose what it is that you want to wear that's going to flatter your body and that's going to accentuate all of the hard work that you put into changing your body. All of the things that you've done to show the hard work that you put in to reaching that milestone in your wellness journey. So your style is going to change. Okay, that may also include the style of your hair. Because, like I said, as your body is changing, as your facial structure is changing, you may have to do things that are going to accentuate that as well. So your style is going to change. Take time to begin to look at magazines, look online, and see some of the trends that are out there, and see if there's something that piques your interest, and start to play with those things. Again, start looking at different colors and patterns and things, and seeing what has that wow factor for you. Okay, and this may be sometimes where you may have to even bring in someone like a stylist who can come in and help you to assess your body type, because these things are new. And so that person may be able to come in and style you and be able to help you go through your wardrobe and see what pieces or essential pieces that you can mix and match, things that are going to, help your statement differences, those things that are going to be representative of who you are. So your style is going to change. All right. And make sure that you take time to play with it. Even something that was unexpected, that was fun for me, because I had to say, okay, well, what's something new that I want to do? What's something that I always thought I wanted to wear and couldn't? And now I get an opportunity to be that little paper doll for myself and begin to play again with those patterns and those colors and see what it was that works for me. So that was an exciting part of it. And that's something that you need to be aware of. Your style is going to evolve, and not just because of your body structure, also because of your age. When you become a certain age, you're starting to look at how your style is going to become different then. So again, you're tapping into a stylist, or you're looking online and you're finding things that are going to help you create your own personal style. Another thing that was important in my journey is thrifting. While you're getting rid of all those clothes, and I've talked about the expense, then you can begin to start looking at thrifting. Going, because it's still a milestone. There may be more of your wellness journey that you're embarking on. You may have reached that milestone and found out that you want to continue to go a little further. So that may not be your stopping point. And so you don't want to have to keep replenishing or liquidating your wardrobe over and over again. What you want to do is start thrifting so that you're getting pieces that are a little less expensive, so that you can experiment, but you can also recycle those items as well. So those are things that you have to consider as you're going through your wellness journey, that you're going to have to liquidate that wardrobe, and that you're going to have to create your own personal style. And there's going to be an expense that comes along with it. So things like thrifting or considering working with a stylist are going to be your best friend as you're showing off this new aspect of yourself and learning to love this new aspect of yourself. So there's a lot that comes along with that. You want to be able to create your fashion, you want to be able to create your style, and to be able to comfortably walk in it because you earned it. Okay. The third thing that I want to talk about is, when you're talking about meeting your wellness milestone, is that your face may be different than you remember. Now, this one was a hard one for me, and I tease people all the time when I talk about my wellness journey. I always said if it wasn't for the fact that I look exactly like my dad with hair, I wouldn't recognize myself because so much of my facial structure changed when I lost significant weight. Okay. So let's talk about the mirror because, like I said, when we lose weight, we think we're going to look the same way that we looked. But then we realize that the elasticity in our face changes. Okay. I lost significant weight. I had to have excess skin removed. Okay. But as I said, the elasticity in your face and in your body in general begins to change. Sometimes the texture of your skin changes. Sometimes you may have oily skin or you may have dry skin, and the consistency of your skin may change as a result of your weight loss. Okay, and so it happens in your facial structure. Your jawline may be different. Okay, your expression will change. So as you're going through your wellness journey and going through your weight loss milestones, the mirror is going to be your best friend. Okay. You want to make sure that you're looking at your body. And that was something that I had to do too. I went and got a full length mirror. I stood in front of that mirror nude and I looked at every aspect of my body and started to become familiar with my body because I wanted to see the changes that I was experiencing. And I didn't want it to be a shock to me when I walked past the mirror and felt like I didn't recognize myself. And the one about your face, that's the hardest because, you know, I had a full jolly face. I had high cheekbones and I just loved the way my face looked. But when I lost weight, I did not look like myself anymore. And that was a hard adjustment to make. But we have to have grace with ourselves and we have to be able to realize that those changes are going to come and that, even though we have a mental blueprint in our mind of what we think we're supposed to look like, we have to give ourselves grace in knowing that there are going to be changes that are going to happen in our face. And we have to begin to establish a relationship with the new version of ourselves. And that may require, playing with makeup. If you're a woman, playing with foundation and different things that are going to accentuate the new aspects of your face that are going to bring things out. Sometimes people look at that face and they feel as though their face is going, oh my goodness, my face doesn't look like I'm sick. I look like, there's something wrong with me. I don't like that face. That's why, I think about people who have what's had gastric bypass and they have psychological because there's so many other things that are going on besides just the physical weight loss. There are things that are going on mentally. We're looking at ourselves through a lens and now those things have changed. And we have to adjust our lenses, just like we adjust the lenses for our glasses. We have to begin to adjust the lens of how we see ourselves in this new body. And so when we're looking at that mental blueprint of our face and then we look in the mirror and it's not the same, it's going to take time to make that adjustment. So again, take time to look at your face. Start accentuating those new things that are coming out. If your cheeks or things are more pronounced, maybe you want to start playing with blush or start playing with eyeliner or all other types of things that are going to accentuate your face. Start a new skin regimen to make sure that if your skin is oily or dry or you've got combination skin, what are some things that you can do that are going to help to smooth out your skin, that are going to you may develop acne and other types of skin, we don't want to call them disorders, but things that can happen with your skin, the changes in your skin, and you want to be able to address those things. So your face may change. And that's a difficult thing to see. Again, like I said, if you have that mental blueprint in your mind of how your face is supposed to look, and you look in the mirror and you don't see that can be problematic. So begin to have that relationship. Look in the mirror and that's something that is going to be critical in your journey. Just like I said, your body is going to change. You're going to lose weight in places that you didn't know that you're going to lose weight because we focus on that midsection. And again, like I said, you lose weight in your fingers, you lose weight in your feet, you lose it most of the times in your face and in your neck and in your upper body before you ever start seeing anything in that midsection. You're going to lose weight in every other part of your body, but that place first. That's always the best for last. Okay. And so you want to make sure that you're establishing a relationship with your body so that you can see those changes and you can celebrate those small wins that you may not see on the scale. And that brings us to number 4 of what we're going to see when we're going through our weight loss milestones. The scale is going to fluctuate. This one is huge. You may hit your goal, and when you hit that goal or you hit that milestone, I know that we all understand that the scale is not going to freeze at that number forever. Our weight is still going to fluctuate. Okay. I remember when I first got into what we call quote unquote Wonderland. I was finally under 200 pounds. I was like, this is great. This is, where I want to be. And, the very next day, the scale went right back up past 200. And for one minute, it was like, no, no, me. For you, I was like, no, why am I go back so quickly? And that was because I didn't understand that, water retention. I didn't understand that hormones, eating salty meals, menopause, and even doing strenuous workouts could cause your weight to fluctuate, sometimes anywhere from 2 to 5 pounds. Women with their menstrual cycle, there are all kinds of things that cause our weight to fluctuate. And so we have to, make sure that as we're meeting certain milestones, that we give ourselves a range in which to operate, because as we're making changes, we may have to, we may gain a few pounds before we lose a few pounds. Or we may be what I call, sometimes you're a pound hound and you're losing pounds and you're excited about that. There are going to be times when you're going to be an inchworm and you're only going to see inches. And that's why it's important to not rely on the scale as your only means of determining weight loss. Sometimes you're going to see it with that tape measure. Sometimes you're going to see it in scales that measure more than just your weight. I have a scale that also monitors things that are going on inside your water, and that also, has electrodes in it, and it's able to determine, your protein intake, your muscle mass, all of those things, your BMI, your BMR, all of those things are measured through that particular scale. More importantly, it measures your subcutaneous and your visible fat. Subcutaneous fat is that layer of fat that's right below your skin. Okay. And your subcutaneous fat is that fat that's around your vital organs. And that's the fat that you want to monitor. Okay. So it's not just the scale and looking at that number. You want to make sure that the visceral fat and the subcutaneous fat are the things that you're losing and that you're not losing muscle. Okay. And that's where it's important for us to educate ourselves about our bodies and educate ourselves about the things that are happening inside of us, because we've been trained and conditioned to just step on the scale. And if the number doesn't go down, that we failed. But we have to also understand that muscle and fat have, way differently. Okay. And it's important that we're losing fat and not muscle. So again, we don't want to rely on the scale, because that is going to fluctuate and it's not going to give you a perfect picture of exactly what's going on inside of you. But you want to make sure that, like, again, you're using a tape measure, you're measuring your body, and you're seeing how your clothes fit. That's an indicator of how you're doing with regards to your weight loss, because the scale may not move, but the notch on your belt may. Okay. Or those pants may, they were a little tighter and they may be loose. We've got all kinds of things that happen within our body. One thing that I experienced once I lost a significant weight, and then I had these surgeries to remove excess skin. I had a lot of bloating. I had a lot of inflammation going on. experiencing bloating. And a lot of it had to do with the types of food that I was eating. Okay. And the activity that I was doing. I was doing a lot of strength training. And for a long time, that scale didn't move because I was gaining muscle, but I was losing fat and it was being replaced with that muscle. And that muscle was heavier than that fat. And so I didn't see the scale move. And I had to educate myself so that way I wouldn't be discouraged with what it was that I was seeing. Okay. I had to begin, like I said, to have a relationship with that mirror. And I could look in that mirror and see that my body was shifting and changing. Those rolls on my back were no longer as prominent as they were. They were beginning to melt away. So again, even though I didn't see the number on the scale move, I was seeing changes and shifts in my body because I had really developed a relationship with what my body was looking like. And that's something that we need to do as we're going along with this milestone and as we're going along with our weight loss journey. It is a relationship that we're building with ourselves. And we're really coming to see how the things that we put in our body, how we move our body, how those things affect us. And as a woman, there are so many things that we have to deal with hormonally, that we have to deal with if we are in, that we are in, uh, full menopause. There are a lot of shifts that are happening in our body, and we have to be able to make those adjustments. So the one thing that we have to remember is that as we're reaching those milestones, it's not blind, it's not. And that's what we're going to see as we're going through this journey. I gave myself a 10-pound grace, so that as changes are happening within my body or things that are happening with my health, that I have that 10-pound window in which to work. And as I'm in that window, I'm making adjustments so that way I can begin to see weight loss happening again more consistently. Because you're going to get to those places where you're going to plateau because the body is a beast and it remembers certain things. And as your body becomes acclimated to those things, it may not give the same results anymore. So we have to make adjustments. That's what they tell you, to change your exercise regimen. Sometimes you may have to change the things that you eat. I've noticed as I've gotten older, my eating habits are different. And also the things the things that I can tolerate are no longer things that I can eat anymore. The way food is being prepared and made, and we've been hearing a lot of that, in the news lately, the way food is being processed, the preservatives that are being placed in foods are different from those things that we ate when we were younger. And some of us are developing, an aversion to those types of food. There are certain things that I can't do anymore because of how they're processed. You get all the allergies and people, things, we should have gluten and with soy and with other products that they can no longer eat or that they can no longer consume, that they consume as a young child. So there are a lot of changes that are taking place in our nutrition, and those things are going to reflect on the scale, and we're making adjustments or learning to make adjustments within our eating plans and within our fitness plans. And as we make those adjustments, we have to give ourselves that grace. And so as you're going through your journey, consider that again, the scale is going to fluctuate, and begin to look at other ways to honor and to celebrate your weight loss, because it's happening. And we just have to make sure that we're not, causing ourselves to go backwards, or we're feeling like we've fallen off the wagon, and now we have to say, oh well, I'm not going to be able to do this. I can't. I'm a failure. You're not failing. You're making adjustments, and you're realizing again that it is not a destination, your wellness journey. It is a lifestyle change. And that's going to come with tweaks. And as things are changing, one thing that we do here at the How Now podcast is we learn how to respond and not react to the things that are going on around us. We're creating a toolbox so that way we can go back and reach for those things that we need to make the adjustments that we need to make so that we can continue in that wellness journey and also create peace in our existence. And that's something that is important to as we're going to meet our weight loss milestones. But the one that is the most important of all is this fifth one that we're going to talk about, and that is not comparing our milestone body to anybody else's. Okay? The one thing that we have to remember is that we are unique and beautifully made. Okay? At least that's what the Bible tells us. Okay? And the one thing that we have to realize is that our bone structure, our genetics, and our journey is uniquely ours. Okay. When I am working with clients, I have to be able to take that deeper dive into their lifestyle. And even though we all may have similar things that are going on in our life, there are always going to be those outliers. There are always going to be those things that are going to, cause slight variables or slight adjustments that have to be made. So we have to understand again that our journey is ours and ours alone, and that the only person that we should be comparing ourselves to is our former selves. We tend to look online and we see people, going through weight loss. We see people having surgery. We see people doing certain things. And we think, oh, well, if I do that same thing, I'm going to have the same result. That's not possible if you're not genetically and your bone structure is not just like that person. You can be the same weight as someone and your bodies look totally different. There are some women who are 200 pounds and they shape like Coke bottles and they look, stunning in that shape that they're in. Okay? That's not my existence. I have a ruler shape. And guess what? No matter how small I get, I'm not going to turn into an hourglass. I'm still going to be a ruler. Okay? Because that's just how my bone structure is. So I have accepted the fact that that's what my body structure is. And, and that's all I can do is I can be the best ruler that I can be. Okay. If you have that beautiful Coke bottle shape and you're satisfied with that, that's what works for you. And as you're getting smaller, you're just going to be a smaller Coke bottle shape. If you are an upside down triangle shape, you're going to be a smaller upside down triangle shape. You are not going to change in structure, because you've lost weight. Okay. Your bone structure and the way your body is designed is going to stay the same. It's just going to be a little smaller unless you go and do surgery to augment it. Okay, that's when those changes come in. And that may not always be the healthiest choice. For some that may work, but again, it's a personal choice. And it's going to look different on each and every person. You go into a department store and they have a rack with the same t-shirt on there, and we can all go and pick up one of those t-shirts and it's going to look different on each and every person because listen, our own structure, because of our style. I may take that t-shirt off hanger and I may put a rubber band on the side and I may tuck it in my pants or I may roll up the sleeve. I may do something different with it. And it's not going to look the same, even though it's that same t-shirt that we are all wearing. It looks different on each person based on their structure, based on their style, based on their individuality. That's what's going to determine, and make it their own. And that's what you're wanting to do. You're wanting to not compare yourself to anyone else when you're going through this wellness journey. That is a trap. And it's a trap that's easy for us to fall into because we feel like, oh, we're not living up to a standard. Well, what's the rubric or what's the standard for how you're supposed to look based on your body structure and the things that are unique to you? So again, it's only going to look, you're only looking to create the better version of yourself. How are you going to do that? How are you going to go about making sure that your focus is on creating that better version of you? We talk about that, but we should be also talking about that physical version of you. You're not going to transform into somebody different because you've lost weight. What you're going to do is you're going to create a dwelling place for yourself that is going to help you to be able to function and to move in a way that is safe for you. Okay. One thing that I saw He had, you know, had worked on his abs and he had worked on his chest, and people were commenting on his body and, well, is that really your body? Is it AI generated? All of these things people were asking. And he made a statement that I thought was very profound. He said, your body is not a debate, it's a dwelling. I'm going to say that again. He says, your body is not a debate, it's a dwelling. It's not something that you have to justify to someone else. Your body is your own. Your body and how you choose to exist in this vessel, in this dwelling place that we've been given, is your choice. Okay, you decide, just like you decide how to furnish your home and how to care for your home, you decide how you're going to take care of this dwelling place, this vessel that you have been given. Okay, we have all been given a body that has been, that we've been blessed with, a physical body that carries us through every aspect of our life and that will continue to carry us through the remainder of our physical lives while we are here. Of course, we have a spiritual body, but we also have this physical body that we have been tasked with taking care of. Okay, and it's important for us to make sure that we're taking care of it. We're not defending it against anyone else. Just like I said, your only competition is yourself, because everything that is going on in your body is unique to you, and how you take care of it, how you honor it, is going to be important. And that is, again, not something that is afforded. Always look at your dwelling place, look at your body, and see what things you can do. Because another thing that I learned, and this is a bonus thing, you can look great, you can lose weight and feel that you've gotten to a milestone and still feel like garbage on the inside. You always hear people saying, I thank God that I don't look like what I've been through. Okay, because sometimes on the outside we can appear to look well, or to look like, oh wow, you've lost weight, you've done things. You have people who are small in stature, who are considered a standard weight, and they still have dis-ease in their body. They still have issues that they're having to contend with because something is going on the inside. So, don't always be fooled by things that look good on the outside, because sometimes it's those things that are going on the inside that are causing the problem. Okay. And that's why I said, when we were talking about scales, it's important to make sure that you have scales that measure things that are going on inside your body as well. Because the outside may look good, but there are things that are going on the inside that still need to be addressed. So it's important that we take care of this dwelling place that we've been given. We take care of our skin, that we take care of our bodies, that we're observing our bodies and looking for changes and looking for things that may be out of place, or things that may not look right. It's time to examine yourself and realizing ourselves, as spiritual beings, but we also have to examine ourselves as physical beings to see if we notice any changes, things that are going on that may not look right. Those are those little indicator lights, just like you have an indicator light on your car. It's those little indicators that come on and say, hey, something is wrong, something doesn't look right. You're noticing that the texture of your hair has changed, or you're noticing that the texture of your skin is changing. And now those are things that we need to pay attention to. So we want to make sure that we are taking care of and honoring this body, this dwelling place that we have. That's something that is so critical to who we are. Okay, so in closing, reaching your milestones are incredible. It's a wonderful achievement when we get to a place where we are feeling good, and where we are doing things that are helping our bodies to move at their optimal levels. Okay, it's a season of self-discovery. All of these things are a part of self-discovery. It's all a part of self-love. It's all a part of self-acceptance. And we're getting into a space where we're being, alerted to the things that are going on around us, and how the changes that are happening with our bodies, with our minds, and with our spirits are something that is going to to help us, again, to move the marker in the right direction towards the better version of ourselves. We have to be able to tap in, and we have to be able to embrace ourselves, because once we do that and we begin to work on the things that are going on within our bodies, we'll be able to project on outside of our bodies, and we'll be able to see all those things that are going on the exterior, because we work hard on the inside. Okay, so be sure as you're going through your wellness and your weight loss milestones that you're taking it one day at a time, you're taking it one outfit at a time, and you're taking it one fluctuation at a time. Okay, so if you are seeking to start a new wellness journey, or you're seeking to pivot from your existing wellness journey, and you want to, have a little assistance with that, make sure that you go to my new website, kimmartinraymond.com, and set up a coffee chat with me. Come in and let's talk about some ways that we can create our peaceful existence by going in and tapping into the different aspects of our wellness, mind, body, and spirit, so that we can align those things and become the best versions of ourselves. Again, the website is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. You can also like, follow, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and make sure that you're doing things to find out what's going on in my now. Okay, and with that, I'm going to say thank you so much for being on the show. I've enjoyed talking about this topic with you. Go back and check it out and review along with my other shows that are going on. And make sure that, again, you're taking care of yourself. You're doing things that are going to help to honor your body and your mind and your spirit. And again, you're taking it one day at a time, one outfit at a time, and one fluctuation at a time. And with that, I'm going to say thanks for joining me on the How Now podcast. We know how to live in the now. And until I see you all the next time, stay peace.